A current and a former Bruin made some waves on Instagram yesterday, and we're going to read into the tea leaves here on today's episode of Locked On Boston Bruins.
You're Locked On Bruins, your daily podcast on the Boston Bruins. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, Bruins fans, and welcome back to the Locked On Boston Bruins podcast. I'm your host, Ian McLaren, and this is a daily show where we discuss all things Spoke B, as well as take a look around the NHL. Today is Wednesday, June 1st. Can you believe it? It's June already. And I want to thank you so much for making Locked On Bruins a daily listen. The podcast free and available on all platforms. Please do smash that subscribe button on your podcast app of choice. You can also find the podcast on YouTube. Locked On Bruins is the name of the channel. If you're on social media, you can find the podcast at Locked NHL Bruins on Twitter and Instagram. And you can find me, my dad jokes, hockey tweets at Ian C. McLaren, a lifelong Bruins fan. And I've been covering this team for various outlets for 17 years. Now, the Team Czechia, celebrating their bronze medal win at the World Championship with a beer tour on Tuesday in Prague. Now, I've been to Prague. It's a very nice city, one of my favorites, and the beer selection is quite exceptional. In fact, I bought a Stein over there that they sell for that purpose. And it's an incredible city. It was cool to see them walking around yesterday enjoying their victory. Now, at one point, David Pastrnak pulled out his phone, recorded a video of himself and former Bruin David Krejci asking if Krejci was going to come back and play for the Bruins this coming season. Krejci's response? A simple smile. Now, what did it mean? Was it a wait and see? Was it a get this phone out of my face? Was it a I don't want to say no in front of all these people who are watching? He didn't say yes. He didn't say no. So in theory, the door is open. Now, I have maintained that I think it's a long shot. He moved his family back home to Czechia in order to immerse his kids in the culture, to develop relationships with grandparents. And it seems difficult to picture him picking them back up after New Year's in new schools and coming back and settling back in Boston for a year or two. Plus, don't forget this. Back in January, Krejci was pretty open about his frustrations seeing Pastrnak playing on the second line with Erik Haula and Taylor Hall when he and his countrymen were not really deployed together all that often. He said Coach Cassidy rarely let the two of us play together. It must have been something to split the first line and give Pasta to me. After years, I leave Boston, and suddenly that's possible. That surprised me, he said. Cassidy always told me that he had no reason to take Pasta off the first line and that it would be as short as possible to dismantle the forces. I had to take it, he said. But now Pasta has 5 or so, many games on the line with Taylor Hall and Eric Haula. Strange. That was back in January, and that new look second line remained together for the bulk of the second half of the regular season, as well as into the playoffs. The perfection line was reunited for a time, but in the end, it was Marchand, Bergeron, DeBrusk playing on the top line with Hall, Haula, and Pastrnak on the second line. Pastrnak was asked about the article. He said he didn't really see it. Wasn't sure about the translation and all that. But he said obviously it was well known. We were very close friends. Always had chemistry together. Liked to play together. Everybody knew that. It's just I guess we were doing so good with Bergie and Marchand. It was hard to split us up. He added it was well known he wanted to play with Krejci, wanted to play with me, but at the same time we were players and we're playing with the players who we are with. At the World Championship, these guys thrive together, playing with Roman Cervenka, another veteran forward from Czechia. Towards the end of that interview, Krejci was asked about the possibility of returning. He didn't rule it out. But it was clear that he wasn't exactly pleased with coaching decisions and, not being able to play with Pastrnak in the past when, as soon as he leaves, Pasta's put on the second line. Now, surely Pastrnak and Krejci have had discussions about this. Surely Pasta knows Krejci's mindset. So again, was it just a matter of, hey, we're on a beer tour, we're tipsy, this would be hilarious, get everybody going, kind of an inside joke knowing that he's not coming back? Or was he putting it out there knowing that it's possible that Krejci might come back? I'm still erring on the side of it's probably not happening. But his contract with HC Olomouc was for 1 year until he re-ups with them or announces his retirement. Then I suppose the door will remain open in theory until somebody comes along and closes it. Krejci, 36 years old, in 51 games for Olomouc this past season. He scored 20 goals, added 26 assists at the World Championship. He appeared in 10 games, 3 goals, 9 assists for 12 points, winning a bronze, 4 points in 4 games at the Olympics as well. So he certainly still has a lot in the tank. Whether or not any of that is expended in black and gold, again, I don't see it happening. But until the door is completely closed, we're gonna hope, right? Now, today's episode is brought to you by Rock Auto. With the ever-increasing numbers of makes and models, it's now impossible for your local chain auto parts store to stock all the parts you need. Why endure often pointless or seemingly intimidating questioning and wait while the person behind the counter orders the parts on their computer, choosing only the brand their warehouse happens to carry? You have access to rockauto.com at home and in your pocket, and you can save time and money by using Rock Auto. They're a family-owned business. They've been serving do-it-yourselfers for over 20 years. Their prices are reliably low for every customer, and they have everything you could need for brake parts, tail lamps, motor oil, even new carpet. Go explore their easy-to-use website today to find the solution to your auto parts needs. Go to rockauto.com, see all the parts available for your car, truck, or van. Write Locked On in their How Did You Hear About Us box so they know we sent you. Amazing selection, Reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need at rockauto.com. Thank you so much again for making Locked On Bruins your first listen every day. I have an important favor to ask you now. We've put together a survey so we can learn more about our listeners and make your favorite Locked On podcasts even better. This is your opportunity to tell us what you like and what you don't like about Locked On podcasts. Go to lockedonpodcasts.com/survey right now to get started. Won't take you very long. Everyone that completes a survey qualifies for a chance to win one of 10 $100 Ticketmaster gift cards. Help take our audience survey. Go to lockedonpodcast.com/survey. Thank you so much for your help. Now, Pastrnak and Krejci weren't the only ones making waves on social media yesterday. Jake DeBrusk posted a story on his Instagram holding a baby wearing a Boston Bruins baby beanie and a Boston Bruins onesie. The caption was, "He's still loyal to the oil, but had to show Uncle Jake DeBrusk some love." Loyal to the oil is in reference to the baby, not to Jake DeBrusk. Now, this post was added to Instagram by a hockey player from Edmonton, Alberta, which is DeBrusk's hometown, by the name of Chase Toronto, Torontow. Putting two and two together, you see that DeBrusk, Toronto, good friends, and it appears as though Chase, his partner, welcomed a baby into the world and put the baby in black and gold in order to meet Jake DeBrusk. Significant, I think. I joked on Twitter that, he's staying because of this, but I think it is significant. There was a public trade request that was made. DeBrusk went on to have a pretty productive season, 25 goals. And he goes home to Alberta. Could be easy to put all things Boston aside and stick to that trade request. Hope for a move over the summer. You would expect that a good friend whose baby is going to call him Uncle Jake would be in tune with Jake's current mindset. And if he's still, therefore, embracing black and gold, being recognized as a Bruin in the offseason, then perhaps that is suggesting that he is willing to play out his contract as a member of the Boston Bruins. He signed a 2-year deal on trade deadline day, perhaps in hopes of being moved, giving acquiring teams some contract security. But he played that out. He played out the stretch, played very well, and I, for one, hope that he does indeed remain a member of the Boston Bruins. One final thing, I noticed that Metallica on their Instagram page, if you go there, you can see, I believe it's James Hetfield, wearing a Tuukka Rask mask that appears to have been gifted to the band post-retirement. If you remember back to Rask's 500th game in 2020, the band gave him a drum set. There's been a long relationship between Rask, whose musical preferences air on the side of Metallica, and cool to see him gifting them with some memorabilia from his wildly successful career in Boston. If you listened to the podcast yesterday, you heard me kick off a summer series on Don Sweeney's trade history. We'll be picking that up again, but I wanted to interject with these kind of fun, more lighthearted social media posts from a couple Bruins that were making waves yesterday to kind of read the tea leaves and, what did they mean? Is he coming back? Is he staying? And we'll see what happens here in what could be a pretty busy offseason for the Boston Bruins. Before we get to some news and notes from around the NHL, a quick word about BetOnline. Our partners at BetOnline continue to be the number one source for all your betting needs and sports information. You can find all the latest odds, news, sports developments, including the NBA playoffs, NBA Finals with our Boston Celtics in action, Stanley Cup Finals, Major League Baseball scores, UFC fights, even some NFL futures. BetOnline is your continued source for all sports wagering information, from live betting to playoffs, esports, and more. Head to the website today. Use your mobile device to learn more about the trends in action at BetOnline, where the game starts. The Locked On NHL podcast is in your feeds as well. So after checking out today's Locked On Bruins, which I thank you again for making it a daily listen, Locked On NHL has you covered like no other. Hear the latest news and opinions from local experts every Monday through Friday, free and available wherever you get podcasts. And certainly last night's thrilling Game 1 between Colorado and Edmonton will be at the top of the discussion. An 8-4 win for the Avs. Cale Makar leading the way with a goal, 2 assists. JT Compher scored twice. Nathan MacKinnon, Gabriel Landeskog, Mikko Rantanen, each adding a goal and an assist. On the other side, McDavid had a goal and 2 assists. Leon Draisaitl with a couple of helpers. Evander Kane, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, a goal and an assist each. And Game 2 will go Thursday night in Denver. There was some controversy in this one when it appeared as though Valeri Nichushkin was offside on a Cale Makar goal. Oilers challenged it, but they lost when it was deemed that Makar didn't actually cross the blue line and take possession of the puck until after Nichushkin tagged up. Avs made it 4-2 on the power play that came after the failed challenge, and they never trailed after that game. Now tonight's the Eastern Conference Final gets underway. Should be quite the opposite, a goaltending battle potentially for the ages. Igor Shesterkin taking on Andrei Vasilevsky. Vasilevsky is trying to become the first goalie to backstop his team to 3 straight Stanley Cup wins since Billy Smith with the Islanders in 1982. Shesterkin was 3-0-0 against the Lightning this season with a .958 save percentage. But, excuse me, allergies. But we know that Vasilevsky is arguably the best goalie in the world. Speaking of goalies, Jordan Binnington admitted that he threw an empty water bottle at Nazem Kadri after Game 3 of their second-round series in which he was hurt following a collision with Kadri. Binnington said he felt it was a God-given opportunity. Another reminder that I will never not lament Boston losing to the St. Louis Blues and that guy in the 2019 Stanley Cup Final. Finally, Martin St. Louis, formally given the job as head coach of the Montreal Canadiens. Hopefully, that rivalry heats up a bit more next season. It's always fun when Bruins and Canadiens is a thing. That's it for today's episode of Locked On Boston Bruins, my friends. Last night I went to a Canadian Elite Basketball League game, which was very fun. Cat Barber in the lineup for Guelph. He got a 10-day contract with the Atlanta Hawks this past season, which is pretty cool. Guelph losing to the Niagara River Lions. But it's a reminder that rooting for the Celtics. Check out the Locked On Celtics podcast for all the latest heading into the NBA Finals. And I guess a new episode of Obi-Wan dropped, so I should check that out. Still yet to begin that, as I was caught up with Stranger Things and Top Gun Maverick over the weekend. Check out that movie if you hadn't already. Just the perfect summer movie, in my opinion. All right, friends, that's it for today's episode. We'll be back tomorrow with some more on the Boston Bruins here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your favorite team every single day.